this is going to be a tutorial on credible research. So you've got in files, you've got a document that looks like this, titled Credible Research, which is going to give you some notes also to help you get through this. And I'm going to walk you through some of it now. It might look a little different because I'm on my Mac so that I can record and so that I can talk to you and have some sound and so that you can actually see what I'm talking about. All right, so one of the first things we have to go through is how we go about doing a Google search to find credible resources. And so the key is to identify what it is you are going to be looking for, okay? You need to know that the more specific your language is, the more specific the option or the results are going to be. If you use broad, general, sweeping language, like down here, just take a peek at these examples, right? Police violence in America versus guns in America, right? So this is like millions of results versus a couple 100,000 results, 106,000 results. Obviously, 106,000 is a little bit better to work with, okay? It's not as much for you to go through. So you're going to identify common vocabulary words regarding the topic that you are trying to look up. Okay, and again, be as specific as you can when it comes to the who, what, when, where, and why. If you have specific adjectives, make sure you write those down. And as you read through articles that are about your general topic, you're also going to note words that you continue to see popping up. So make a note if, the word police violence, for example, as we see here, is what's being used. Or if there is another term, are they using police brutality or are they using police violence? Okay, so think about the language that these articles are using as well. So when we go to the Google, okay, some things that are going to help you search after you figure out some specific keywords that you want to use are also to use quotation marks to set off phrases. This is going to tell Google that the words that you've entered, you want them to stay together. And so it's going to bring up articles that only contain all of those words. If you do not put quotations, it's going to show you any article that has any of those words. Okay. So if we take a peek at the police violence in America, right? So if we just do police violence in America, bear with me. This is the first time I'm making one of these videos. With no quotations, okay, of 212, what is it, million? Okay, yeah, no maths, okay, 212 million results because it is pulling up keywords, and look here, you can see them highlighted, okay, police, okay, this one has police violence, this one has Americans, all right, so when we go and we put the quotations around it, it's going to keep this as a phrase. And it should bring us down to, so from, 212 million to 106,000 results, okay? And we can get even more specific now. And I can type the word and, okay? And this is going to join these two phrases, so police violence in America, and let's get really specific and just do deaths. Okay, brought us down again, 55,100, definitely more manageable. Okay, now if you have a particular area that you're thinking about, I'm going to put in urban neighborhoods to get, oh my goodness, good. Neighborhoods. Oh my gosh, what is going on? Urban neighborhoods, and I'm going to put it in quotation marks so it keeps it together. Okay, and look, now we've gotten down to 6 results. Okay, of these 6, I'm not sure if anything is suitable for what it is I want to research until I start scanning through them, but I'm hoping that you see how we moved from 212 million results down to 6 results, and we were able to do that with just Google. All right, so using quotation marks. And the words and in between, Okay, this will lead you to articles that contain those phrases and just those specific phrases and all of those phrases. If you use or, it's going to give you, either this phrase or this phrase, but not the phrases together, which can get a little bit more confusing. Okay, so the more general your search terms are, the more results you're going to get, which means more digging and more work for yourself, which is what we want to try to prevent here. All right, so another thing I wanted to note as well, so as I'm moving through our document here, I want you to be skeptical of this right here. Anything that says add next to it. It's not always going to be something that's trying to sell you something, okay? Google search results are paid, so businesses pay top dollar to be up on the top there. They're reserved for advertisements if they have anybody paying to be the top search result for whatever the phrase is that you're typing in. And so it could be a great credible source if it's coming from like a nonprofit or an educational source. But make sure that you check the source against the questions that we're going to go through just in a couple of seconds, okay? And make sure that it's not like, oh, they're trying to sell you this really great pair of eyeglasses when you're looking up like blindness from something, being caused by something. All right, so what to check for when looking at a source. I love this poster. So you gotta do the crap test. All right, here's a list of things that you want to check for. Currency, when is it published? Give me a timeline, right? Especially with the internet, we're looking like last 5 years, okay? Anything more than that, because information is almost available within seconds because of the internet. And so anything more than 5 years, unless you're writing, about a historical time period or, you want to focus in on an article that came out at a specific time, you must understand, though, okay, how you're going to be working with that. Relevance, okay, how does it connect? Is this info connected to your topic? Is it closely connected or is it loosely connected? Do you have to reach for straws to try to put this info in your paper? Authority, who's writing it? All right, you want to go with trustworthy journalists, trustworthy authors, and make sure that, they're in their field and they're respected in their field, and it's not just like, Joe Schmo, who's the weatherman, is suddenly writing an article on police brutality, okay? See how it adds up. Accuracy, compare it to other things that you have read about this topic. Particularly with statistics, okay? Are they exaggerating the statistics? Are they minimizing them? How are they reporting it versus other reports, okay? And the purpose. Why is this particular article that you're reading being written? Which refers to what's the goal, right? So is it being written to sell you something? Or is it being written to educate or inform you? Okay, so considering when it was published, okay, make sure your materials have been published within the last 5 years. Yes, definitely, especially if you're citing scientific, psychological, or sociological studies, okay. This ensures that the article is up to date, okay. Who wrote it? All right, so we're going to check the journalist, check the author, okay, and I'm going to go through a few sites and show you how to do this. Where was it published? Okay, so look at the site that's publishing it. Is it a well-known news source? Have they been around for a long time? Do they have an established reputation? Okay, it's really important in the age of the internet to check this stuff, because you could have something like the New York Times that's been around for decades, that has spent, years building up a reputation, a positive reputation, versus like this blog, that just came out, or maybe this other news site. Like we're going to look at, the Palmer Report, which just sort of like came about in the digital age, doesn't have much credibility, right? Sources aren't trusting the publication as much as they would trust the New York Times, right? So journalists build up reputations to get sources to trust them. All right, they have to be trustworthy, otherwise nobody's going to talk to them. So the more trustworthy, the more credible the place where the journalist is publishing, the better the information is going to be. Is the information accurate? Okay, are you comparing it against other articles? Do you have a definitive text? Like if you're working with, let's say in the midst of the current, problem going on with the coronavirus, right? What are you looking at the CDC's website and looking at their definitive numbers, or are you getting your numbers from another source? If you're getting your numbers from another source, are they citing the CDC's website? Are they citing the CDC on what they're reporting, as far as statistics go? All right, so make sure that they're reaching out to, and the articles are citing good quality sources as well. Okay, if you're looking at an article on the coronavirus and they're quoting the CDC, awesome. That's good. You could just go right to the CDC at that point, and take the statistics right from the CDC website. But if you're looking at, an article and they're citing like this random, small town paper, I'm not going to trust those statistics over the CDC. Okay. Consider what the source is and why it's giving the information that it's given. We're going to check for bias, okay? So bias comes in many forms. We can have negative bias towards something. We can have positive bias towards something. Negative meaning we're totally against something, and positive meaning like you're fully supporting something else. I have a really great chart that we're going to look at. Okay, so we're going to look for extravagant adjectives and hyperbole, looking at the title and the images, and really reading the language. The link for the chart is right here, Adfonts Media, okay, interactive media chart. This is really helpful for you. I'm going to show you why, just in a few seconds. Of course, everybody is going to have a bias, but when you're utilizing and relying on a source to provide yourself with credibility, because you're trying to tell your reader that you're credible, right? That you can objectively support whatever your thesis is, you've got to be careful of the bias, okay? What is the purpose of the article? Okay, again, why is the article written? Okay, you only want to cite articles that are written for educational or informational purposes. You want to avoid articles that are trying to sell you something or that have like great bias swinging in either direction, okay? Keep in mind the difference between objective writing and subjective writing. Super important. Objective writing contains facts that can be verified by anyone. Example, your desks are red. Anyone can walk into the room and say, yep, desks are red, okay? It's a verifiable fact. Subjective writing is opinion, okay? This is what relies on feelings and perception. All right, for example, the desks are uncomfortable. Some people might say, yes, they are uncomfortable, and some people might say, no, they are not, right? A statement like the desks are uncomfortable is not a verifiable fact. Okay, objective means that all is in agreement. Subjective means that some agree and some disagree. Okay, and you want to get the most objective information that you possibly can. Okay, so let's go through some stuff, and then I'm going to show you guys also, go through the rest of the document. All right, so how do we identify bias? Okay, so I've got a couple of things for us to go through, okay? And so we're going to be hopping back and forth between these two links here, okay? So who are the sources? Again, okay, who is the article citing? Are they citing Joe Schmo, who runs, the deli down the street, to talk about coronavirus, or are they citing the CDC? Okay, be aware of the political perspective of not only the writer, but who they are citing in that article. All right, if they're, clearly only citing, a specific viewpoint, then there's clear bias there, and you're going to want to move on and find another article. You're going to want to look at whether they are corporate or government sources, okay? So in the article, all right, the numbers that they are citing, are they coming from educational or government resources, or are they coming from corporate resources? You're writing a paper on, let's say, on stomach medicines, right? Are they quoting from, the medical administration, or are they quoting from Pepto-Bismol, okay? If it's a corporation, they have a stake in a positive outline, okay? They have clear bias in whatever it is that they're writing about. You want to look at also who's being represented and who's being left out. Is there a lack of diversity? Okay, what is the prominent race? What is the prominent gender? Okay, that's being held to a standard. Okay, are they speaking to multiple people, or are they just speaking and hearing one particular voice? If they're thinking about police brutality in urban environments, are they asking a bunch of like white academics what's going on, or are they going into the neighborhoods and actually speaking to the people who live there, to the people of color who live with it on a daily basis? Okay, so whose voice is being heard versus whose voice is not being heard. And that goes to from whose point of view is the news being reported as well. Okay, those who are affected by the issue having a voice in the coverage versus nobody reaching out at all. Are there double standards? Okay, media holds some people to one standard, using a different standard for others. Thinking about the language that's utilized to talk about people, right? So the example they give here, youth of color who commit crimes are referred to as super predators, whereas adult criminals who commit white-collar crimes are often portrayed as having been tragically led astray. Okay, so look at the adjectives, very important, which speaks to the next one, stereotypes. Okay, are they relying on stereotypes? Okay, let's think about in The Hate U Give, right? When the news anchor is interviewing Miss Brenda. We have Kenya who's like, why would they put Miss Brenda like that on TV? Okay, making that clear connection between the way women of color are presented in the news, or people of color are presented in the news, okay, and utilizing a stereotype to sort of just draw an umbrella over it all. Unchallenged assumptions. So one of the things I hope learned on in Comp 1 was that you have to include multiple perspectives, okay? Even if it's just to say, here is a perspective and this is why it lacks logic, okay? So it's really important in your news articles as well. Rather than reading something that just states this is fact and moving on, it's much better to get something that engages with all of the opinions, okay? Language loaded is what I was talking about before. Okay, look at the actual adjectives. Okay, look at the way in which they're talking about a diverse group of people or the lack of diversity. Okay, how the language chosen gives people an inaccurate impression of the issue, program, or community. Okay, what kind of picture is it creating? This is not a movie. We don't want to be entertained. We just want information from our news. So the less entertainment there is, the better. Is there a lack of context? Okay, is it just like you're thrown into the story and you have no idea what happened before or surrounding? This is something that we were talking about. I forget when it was. We were talking about World War II, right? And so it's like we study the Nazis in the concentration camps and how bad the concentration camps were. They were very bad, right? But we also don't have the context of what happened before, the rise and fall of the Weimar Republic, how Hitler came to power, how the Nazi Party was established. All of these things are important, okay? So do you have a full picture, or is it just focused on one singular thing? Look at the headlines. Do the headlines and the stories match? Okay, we want to avoid clickbaity headlines. Like, you'll never guess what she said, okay? We see those all the time on, all different social media platforms. They want you to click on the video and listen, right? Are stories on important issues featured prominently? All right, so something that comes from the age of newspapers is something called the fold. So the fold is that center crease, okay, where the newspaper is folded in half. Above the fold is the stuff right on the top. Like if you were just to glance down at a newspaper, it would be the first thing that you see. Below the fold is still important stuff, right? It's still on the front page, but it's not as important as the stuff that the newspaper wants you seeing immediately. All right. So this right here, your bar is your menu bar for using PC down here. This is the fold. So whatever is up here is above the fold, and whatever is below here is below the fold. Okay, so where is the story located? Is it buried within the website, or is it something that's happening on the front page? Okay, what's happening on the front page of these news sources? They have, quality stuff being portrayed as important, or is it like, you'll never guess who ate a salad that had cranberries in it or something? All right, so let's look at some language then. All right, we're going to take a peek over here now. All right, bias by headline. Okay, so headline, so the first part, right, this is the title. This is supposed to give the reader an idea of what's to come. Most read part of the news story, and they're often printed in large and bold fonts, right, because they want to draw you in, okay? They want to catch you, and they want you to read the rest of the article. Headlines can be misleading, conveying excitement, okay, when the story's not exciting, expressing approval or disapproval, okay? Let's take a peek at these two right here, right? So we have judge allows testimony of another accuser in Cosby case versus Bill Cosby sex assault trial. Judge allows only one other accuser to testify, not 13. Prosecutors wanted to call more women to the stand. Lots more information in this second one here, but look at this loaded language, okay? Rather than testimony, Cosby case, right? Really objective words, words that are not adjectives but nouns, okay? Right? We don't have, stupid judge, or, anything describing testimony, right? Look, there's no adjectives here except for this word another to indicate that there is one more, right? Versus here, we allows only one other accuser to testify, not 13, right? It's the sex assault trial versus, judge allows testimony in the Cosby case. Okay, so this loaded language, we can clearly tell this one is more objective and this one has some really clear bias. I mean, well, we should all be biased against Cosby because he's gross, but this one clearly is much more loaded. All right, so thinking about bias through selection and omission, choosing whether or not to use specific news story because of either the topic or who it's about, okay? Within a story, some details might be ignored or included, right? Especially since you guys are researching, a specific topic, you're going to be reading a bunch of stuff. And if you notice that an article is missing something that another article had mentioned, check it against the other stuff that you have read, okay? We don't want to be citing stuff that just totally, leaves stuff out because of clear bias. Okay, bias through placement now. Where is the story? This is what I was talking about before. Was it above or below the fold? Okay, so again, is it buried or is it prominent? Okay, photos. This one is really important. I'm going to show you guys some really funny ones too. Okay, what photo have they chosen? Okay, have they chosen a really bad photo? Like this one here, right? Melania Trump is miserable as first lady, and they've got a picture of this woman who looks like, she looks like she's about to cry. And then we've got, Trump over here sort of like yelling, right? So what does the picture say? Is it something that is not making somebody look good, or is it just like a stock photo, right? Like a headshot. All right, so again, thinking about the language too, bias through the use of names and titles, okay? So, right, career racist Jeff Sessions, not a lie. Career racist Jeff Sessions is Donald Trump's pick for the Attorney General. Trump picked Sessions for Attorney General, okay? Look at the objectivity of this versus this. Okay. And bias by choice of words, so again, like speaking to the language again that you chose, right? People can be influenced by the use of positive or negative words, okay? Different connotations, look at the example, fishing for donations, okay? When someone is fishing for something, right, not a good look. And so utilizing that in the title indicates that this article is not in support of whatever this person needs donations for. Right, so let's go through and take a peek now at the interactive media chart, okay? So this is really cool. This is what's in the link right here in the handout, okay? And so it is interactive in that you can click on areas to see more. You can, hold on, let's see if I can get out of, nope. Okay, so here is a lot, right? it's difficult to work with this much, okay? But what you want to do is get neutral or balanced bias, okay, with original fact reporting. So stuff that ends up right at the top of this pyramid here. See how it sort of makes like a pyramid? This is so, like every semester they add more. It's so great. So you could do one of two things. If you find a source, you can check it against here and see if you can find it, right? You're like, oh, okay, I found this source and it was on, let's see, here, okay, alternate. All right, this tells me that it's hyperpartisan left, and it's also selective or incomplete stories, unfair persuasion. All right, I'm not going to be using that site, right? But if I have something from, oops, okay, that's cool. That's where I wanted to go. Yeah. No. Can you go back, please? Thank you. Oh my gosh. I hope I get better at making these videos since we're online now. Woof, okay. If I find an article in in Bloomberg, okay, look, this is right up at the top. Neutral or balanced, right? Fact reporting, and original fact reporting. So anything in this green square, this is what you want to access. And like I said, a little bit of bias isn't bad, but you don't want it to the point where it's slandering one opinion and fully supporting another one without questioning it, okay? You want to go for fact reporting with analysis, okay? So the stuff that's like up here, right, in this green box, this stuff is good. Okay. Although some of BuzzFeed's channels, I guess, could be like BuzzFeed's news maybe, but like, I don't know, some of their stuff, I'm always iffy on like how that got so far up, but it did. All right, so let's take a peek at a site now. Okay, so let's just say, oh my gosh, I know everything is corona. Let's see if I can find something that's not about it. Here we go. Nope. That's not going to help us at all. All right. Well, guess what? We're going to have to look at. All right. So, how do we vet a source now? Okay. Look at our list. Okay. So, when was it published? The date, March 23rd, 2020. Okay, quality stuff. This is yesterday. All right, so it's definitely within the last 5 years. Check. Okay, who wrote it? Lizzie Whitcomb. I'm going to click on her and see what she is all about. Okay, a good site is going to give you a bio and provide you with links to other stuff that the author has written. Let's see. Where's her? Oh, she doesn't have a bio. Okay, but it does link to other stuff she's written, and ooh, yeah, I'm already not digging this, right? Because we've got the story that we clicked on is like the growing chaos inside of New York's hospitals. Okay, so it's reporting on medicine, on society, on people, right? Health, and then we've got the rage and sorrow of the Warren supporter. Can RuPaul's Drag Race save us from Donald Trump? Does the Bloomberg super fan exist? So can we buy a piece of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle? What? The Twitter historians trying to de-Trumpify American history. Yeah, so I'm already like on the fence about like whether or not she's going to be a credible person to be talking about this particular article that we're looking at. So yeah, I'm gonna do a little. I'm a little bit iffy there, right? Where is it published? Okay, so I know to trust the New Yorker. The New Yorker has been around. Oh my God, I don't even know how long. It's like ridiculous how long it's been around. Okay, but it is a trusted source. Okay, and you can find out, what it's all about by simply going to, let me scroll down to the About Us, okay, figuring out, right, about, all right, you can flip through the different sections here, right, but you could also see, what is it, okay, here we go, 1920, so it's been around since 1925. which is pretty incredible, actually, almost 100 years. Holy cow! Here's all of their information. All right, so they've been around for a long time, and I know that the New Yorker is respected, you know, and that they're reporting that they vet their journalists very well. So we can check that off. Where is it published? Let's go to the next one. Is the information accurate? Okay. I haven't read a whole bunch on this topic. Okay. So I don't know what I could compare it to, but I'm going to go through now and see what we've got. So hyperlinks, where are they leading us to? All right. So that leads us to a whole folder of articles. All right, cool. That's always good, right? That's helping you with your research. Now you have a ton of stuff to look at. However, I don't see any other links that are hot within here that's citing okay. Oh, here's a good example at Montefiore Medical Center in the Bronx. Michelle Gonzalez, a 30-year-old intensive care nurse. Okay, so speaking to right here, this tells us that she was speaking to credible people, right? Like this is what this nurse does on a daily basis. She's an ICU nurse, okay? And so she's reaching out to the source. That's good. I don't see any references to other articles, though, that would help a reader to get more information, okay? Oh, here we go at the bottom. A guide to Corona. Yeah, but that's not really what I was looking for, okay? Is there bias present in the article? I mean, this seems to be just an informational article, okay? Talking to medical workers. I'm thinking the purpose is just informational, just to share stories. It's not trying to sell us anything. All right, so let's compare that now to the good old Palmer report. So when I first started using, what was it? Was it this one here? Yeah, I think. The other article about detecting bias, right? So I was talking about the cameras, right, or pictures, and I'm like, okay, so you know, you have to look at what pictures they're using. And as soon as I opened up this website, it literally, the headline was Trump is a dumpster fire, and it was a picture of a dumpster fire. And I was like, I couldn't ask for a more perfect example for what I'm looking for. All right, so let's check above the fold, right? So here, let's go back to the New Yorker. This is really annoying that this bar keeps popping up. I'm just going to go back to the home page. Okay, so remember I telling you about the fold, right? So what's above the fold? What's making it? Okay. Well, I mean, COVID-19 is obsessing all of us, right? But that's important. That's something that everybody is talking about, and it's important for you to know about, right? So, made its coronavirus news and coverage analysis free for all readers. That is awesome. Oh my God, I love the New Yorker for that. Okay, so what's above the fold? All of the important stuff we need to know. Palmer report. What's above the fold? We have this like big ad up here, which like is really silly. Like, what do we need all of this empty space for, right? And we only have one article that ends up being above the fold. Donald Trump begins lashing out at Mike Pence, right? Sandwiched between ads. Okay. Go back to the New Yorker. We've got an ad for their subscription, right? We've got an ad up here, but Condé Nast is the publisher of the New Yorker. Okay. No other ads above the fold, though. Versus here, like, you know, 3 foods that boost memory, how to stay sharp after age. So this is clickbait stuff. Okay. Let's look at the image, right? Okay. So let's go back to that article that we were doing before, right? Okay. So photo. Healthcare workers in New York face a looming shortage of personal protective equipment. Okay. So we just got ICU nurses, right? Showing us the sheets and the place it's quarantined off versus Trump in mid-speech, and Pence looking like he's arguing with somebody over here, his hand out, okay? Not the best photos. You can compare and contrast how certain people are represented, okay? Take a peek at here we go. We got this picture of Biden, right? Look at these pictures of Biden. Not bad pictures, right? They're not like trying to show him or illuminate, you know, something bad about him, make fun of him or anything like that. This one looks to be like a headshot, like a stock photo, you know. He's looking pretty exuberant here, doing his pew pew finger guns, right? Versus the pictures of, I don't know if he's like sneezing. I don't know what's going on in this one. You know, but again, this one he's frowning, right? Not looking too good, okay? Look at the comparison, okay? Here's another great one, okay? The Mitt Romney headshot versus a live photo of Trump, okay? Oh, geez. Oh my God, this is a great one. Look at this, okay? We're going to look at this lower right-hand corner, right? I don't know what he's like, wiping his hair back or something, right? Donald Trump dissolves into an incoherent puddle of goo as his latest press conference goes off the rails. Talk about loaded language, okay? Perfect example. This is a crap article, and I can tell just by the headline and the picture, and also because the Palmer Report is a joke. Well, it's not a joke, but it is a joke. It's not meant to be a joke. All right. Well, let's take a peek at another one, too, okay? So, again, what's going on above the fold? I don't know what purify. Are you kidding me? Hand sanitizer, an ad, okay? Big ad, taking up a lot of space above the fold, okay? Another ad over here, okay? Look at these things. Communist China. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. All right, so trending titles up here, and even those are Dems block rescue plan, communist China, Senate stock scandal, right? Oof, 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 oof. There's no image, and I can already tell you that this one right here is going to be baloney, right? Democrats block coronavirus rescue to push Pelosi's 1,400-page pork-stuffed bill. Special interest projects over relief for Americans. Okay, yeah, all right. Look at all of the ads as well. Okay, so just like in the Palmer Report, you may like, if I'm getting the news, why would I want to read an article about the new gummy better than hemp for pain, anxiety, and sleep? Like, are you kidding me? Here's what you should know about seniors and CBD. You know, look at the articles above, okay? So whereas when we're looking at the New Yorker, right, they were all articles about the coronavirus, okay? What it demands racial gender diversity from corporate recipients, solar panel tax credits. I use the word minority banks. What? It's just absolute garbage. Here, but let's just click on one for shits and gigs. Okay. Again, look at the image. Okay. It's not a very flattering image at all, and it's not that you want a flattering image, but you don't want one that's purposefully trying to make the person look bad, which in this case, like, it does, right? All right, let's look at, wow, that's great. Okay, so, that's it? Okay, I guess it's only a couple of paragraphs, okay? Absolutely no citations, nobody referenced, okay? All right, let's see if we can find another one. Okay, let's take a peek at this one. Here we go. Okay, let's see what kind of references we have in here. Okay, so first opening line, the Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped by 3%. Earlier, it was down by as much as 5%, at one point lost all its gains since the election of Donald Trump in 2016. S&P 500 fell 2.93%. The NASDAQ Composite slid by a milder 0.27%. None of this is highlightable. It does not mention where it's getting this information from. Okay, like, are these like the closing numbers? When were these numbers happening? Okay, it just says dropped by 3%. Earlier indicates that there is also a later. So is this the closing numbers? I'm not sure. We have really little information. We also don't have where the info is coming from. Nothing that we can click on to double check. All right, so we have to do like our own stuff. Okay, let's take a peek at the writer. John Carney. Let's see what he writes about. So, stocks sink, mock economic rescue, coronavirus bill, unemployment could rise, new hires. Oh, that's an ad. See, sometimes it's really sneaky. Okay. See why 5G stocks could be the biggest moneymaker of 2020. You think it's an ad because it's right in line with the ads. I just got that little thing, right? Corporate bond buying. I don't know. He's writing about lots of different things. Rescue packages. But I mean, that's something in his quarters because he seems to be writing a lot about the stock market and America's economy. Okay, so that's a positive in his area, right? Another thing you want to look at too is the store. Okay, so these are private companies, right? They have to stay afloat, right? Something like NPR is a really great source. It's excellent, right? They seek donations, okay? But they also have a store so that you can buy stuff and it helps to support them, right? So it's not the fact that Breitbart has a store, okay? It's the fact that there is clear bias, okay, in what's going on and what's happening in the store. Border wall construction. Let's just click on that. Border wall construction company. Deplorable athletics. Are you kidding me? This is absolutely ridiculous. Never socialist. Like, what is going on? Let's see if they still sell. They were selling MAGA hats. Total exoneration. So clearly in support of a particular political affiliation. All right, moving on to Wikipedia. All right, I'm gonna go to Google. And I'm going to type in something because I just want to bring up a Wikipedia page and go through and show you how to use it, okay? Now, I know that you all have heard probably 100 times, probably 1,000 times, that Wikipedia is not a source, not a credible source. And it's not, okay? For the love of all that is academic, please do not cite from Wikipedia in your paper, okay? Please, please don't, okay? But we can use Wikipedia in the beginning of research, and I'm going to show you how right now. So let's do, let's stick with police violence in America for now, just because that's what we were doing before. Okay, I'm going to go to the Wikipedia page, all right? So, first thing that we can get from Wikipedia, the language that's being used to discuss the topic, okay? What are the key words? What is the vocabulary associated? What are the specific words that continue to pop up, okay? Police brutality, okay? 1 minute.